All right, so tushes will continue to be pushed here in 2025 as the tush push ends up not getting banned, at least for now. For the following season, it will still be in effect. As there was a lot of talk about it, I think a lot of people felt like this was going to be something that would get banned. Ultimately, the Green Bay Packers who proposed this rule change were not able to get enough votes. It was very contested. It kind of came to the 11th hour, but ultimately you have to get enough votes from the owners to agree to have it be banned, and the Packers were not able to do so. So the Philadelphia Eagles can celebrate as they will be able to continue the play that they wanted to keep, obviously the play that they have invented, which there's several ways to talk about the should this be banned, shouldn't this be banned rule. I do have to say, from the arguments that were given, the two explanations for why this play should be banned by the Packers, first is injury concern, and I don't know if that's fully fair because, the Eagles at least have not had players get injured when they've done this. The Giants had, I think, multiple players get injured on one tush-push attempt. That was themselves doing it, but still. But it doesn't seem to be an overly dangerous play in terms of how injuries have happened up until this point. So maybe you could say, well, it still feels like a dangerous play. You do it enough, injuries will happen, but that's kind of the case with football in general. It would have felt weird to have injury concern be the reason it gets banned. They also cited pace of play, which is also weird because it doesn't really slow the game down too much, I guess, unless you're talking about the conference championship game incident that happened. But ultimately, I think for those explanations, it's really hard to argue that this play should be banned. I also think part of why this ultimately ended up not getting banned is because it feels like as of right now, the Eagles are the only team that's really doing it as much as the Eagles do it. And it almost feels like you're handcuffing one specific team for having a great play. If every team starts doing this and every team has the success that the Eagles have, I could see something changing. But because I think of the fact that there is some, because of that, I think that it was just hard to get the votes. It felt more of a fairness thing is my assumption. I don't know exactly the reason, but yeah. So it's interesting. But this says, according to Adam Schefter, one source said there were at least 9 and possibly 10 teams that voted no on a ban of the tush push play. The tush push lives on. Keep in mind, you only need 24 votes to get this play to be banned. So that means they got probably 22 or 23 votes and just couldn't quite get those extra couple. So this was very close. And for as much, if people like the tush push, if this becomes a bigger thing next year, I don't know if this is going to make it to 2026. It feels like there was so much momentum and this got so close to getting banned that it feels like this is a matter of when, not if. But at least as of right now, it still is a matter of when and not it happened. It still is a question at the very least. I made it a poll on my community notes tab, which is still up if you want to vote on it. But as of right now, it says about 70% of people said that the play should not be banned. And again, I think a lot of it is it's an Eagles play. The Eagles have mastered it. I do think that the way that you can kind of argue this, if you don't like I'm someone who isn't a huge fan of the play. To me, it's just an entertainment factor. I think that it's okay to ban boring plays. I think that the NFL has done that many times over the years, and I think that it's not a play that I find particularly exciting. I find other plays more exciting than a quarterback sneak or a tush push. That's just my personal opinion on that, but that's not the argument that was used. So I think it's fair to say, well, it probably shouldn't have been banned for that specific reason. So I don't know. It's an interesting situation. I do wonder. I wonder how long it will last. I do. There was even reports that Roger Goodell himself was kind of rooting for the play to be banned. So we'll see. I mean, ultimately, like I said, I don't think this is the end of the discussion. I think that there still will have, some possible talks of this could be banned in the future. A couple other rule changes I can talk about while we're talking about this. One thing is potential rule changes. First, the Lions had their playoff reseeding proposal, which was essentially that you still have 1 through 7 the same way, but if a team has a better record than the division winner they're playing, then the better record gets the home game instead of just the division winner. So you still make the playoffs and, automatically if you win your division, but then that's it. I understand the logic behind it, but ultimately that did not end up getting passed, which I don't know. I like the NFL format the way it is. I don't think we need to mess with it too much. I like it, and I don't think this would have changed too much of anything anyway. But I understand why people liked it, but ultimately that did not happen. In fact, the Lions ended up just withdrawing it. So I'm assuming they said, okay, not going to have enough votes. Let's just, call it. So that one seemed like nowhere near as close as it still made it to today, right? So there was still some buzz behind it, but it still did not make it as close as the tush push did, which is interesting. There's also a tweak to the onside kick situation. This is a rule change that happened. So essentially what happens is now the kicking team will line up 1 yard closer, making it easier for them to potentially recover an onside kick. Also, you can attempt it at any time, not just when you're trailing in the fourth quarter, which makes sense. To me, I don't get why there's restrictions on it at all. I think just let teams try to let teams try to onside kick whenever they want. That's how it used to be. I don't know, but ultimately the 1 yard closer, I don't know if that's going to make that much of an impact, but it does at least see that they're trying to make it possible, because it is just such a, it used to be a somewhat possible play. It's now become like an impossible play. They're trying to make it somewhat possible again. But so we'll see if we ever end up getting the overall list of who decided to vote for and against the tush push. We'll end up seeing exactly what happened. But, again, it came very close, but ultimately it did not get passed. I do have to say, my one critique of this whole situation that I also want to bring up is I don't love how they... I don't love how they waited so long into the offseason to finally, announce if this is going to be a play or not. Just because, now every other team, I'm sure, Giants fans are saying, well, great, now we didn't have the entire offseason to potentially prepare for this play, try to be able to run it ourselves. I don't really think it's a play you can stop. I think it's only stopped if there's a penalty that's missed or if the offense screws it up the snap. But, if you're the Giants, you could have said, hey, well, maybe we could have tried to, get some offensive linemen that could run this play and we could do it, but now we can't, right? And for the Eagles, they would have been screwed over had it gotten banned today, and now they have to, maybe they would have changed their personnel. I think we could have done it a little bit earlier, and I think that if, next year's vote, I hope that we can try and work on getting that done quicker so teams can adjust to it. It's just my opinion, but if I'm an NFL team, you better believe I'm learning to tush push. I think it's a dominant play. I don't think you need to be the Eagles are always going to be the best at it, but I don't think you need to be that good to be great at this play. We have seen other teams have some success. They just don't run it as frequently as the Eagles. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think it's interesting. So, again, when I talked about this earlier, I had kind of said that it feels like, do you want to be proactive or reactive to something like this? Because in my opinion, if every 4th down and 1 now and every 3rd down and 1 is the brotherly shove / the tush push, I think people are going to want to change. I think that's going to happen. The fact that it's sort of unique now, I think most people find fun and interesting because it's kind of a rare play. So I think the question is it going to continue to be this sort of rare play that only happens every now and then, or is this going to become the norm on every 4th down and 3rd down and 1? If if it ends up still being kind of a unique play that only the Eagles consistently run, I think it's cool, and I have no problem with it. I won't lie. If this ends up being every 4th down and 1 for the entire 2025 season, I'm going to be disappointed, and I'm going to want to see it banned the next year. But we'll see what happens. As of right now, I'm totally open to seeing what happens in 2025. It's not like this is a totally new play. It's been around for a couple years now. So, yeah, we'll see. But those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.